always had to work around my schedule because I hosted Christmas Eve always. But I had to be at choir at 9:30 for the late service. And maybe the rest of the family would go to the early service. So we'd work in between, and I had cheese or beef fondue. But in my family, when I was growing up, I think it was more fun to hear about. My family was musical. My father was a professional bass. My brothers had a beautiful tenor voice. My sister has sung solo forever as a soprano, and I can carry a tune in the alto part. And mother was a piano teacher and played the piano for us. So the four of us would sing for my two old Norwegian aunts, Letty and Florence. And boy, did they love that on Christmas Eve. So that was the answer to that one.
We actually do our big celebration on Christmas Eve. And so we cook the big dinner then, and then after dinner, which is usually standing rib roast and Yorkshire pudding and all of that, we come gather in the living room around a fire, and we write letters to Santa. And Santa responds to each person individually in a letter written in doggerel verse, which is usually found somewhere hidden in the living room behind a cushion or a picture or something like that. And then we go around the room and everybody reads what Santa wrote to them. And usually inside the doggerel are hints to what might be found under the tree tomorrow. And it's a lot of fun. Santa can be rather humorous. So that's a biggie. And then before the end of the night, we have the female head of household, whichever household we are celebrating Christmas in, sits with all of the children of the household and does a reading of the night before Christmas. And one of the things that happens during that reading is that we look to Not Even, the mouse. So this is Not Even. And Not Even has fallen off and broken his ear, but Not Even is usually prominently placed somewhere in the living room. And when we get to the part about a creature not stirring, not even a mouse, we all look to Not Even and wave at him. So this is Not Even. Yeah, that's those are the main traditions. And then we get up in the morning and open presents. We try to go do round robin instead of free for all, so that people actually see what they've received and things like that. So it can take all day.
Christmas has always been one of my favorites for so many reasons. And I think the traditions of going back to childhood and being at my grandmother's house where everyone gathered and everyone was welcome, and the whole spirit of that about family and about gathering was so important. And it was something that I treasured and continue to do. Usually have some kind of gathering on the main one's Christmas Eve. That's our tradition. I've got a couple of things I definitely want to share here. Here is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This is a favorite book that we read irreverently every Christmas Eve. We is not right. My son is the Grinch in this book, and it is hysterical. So that is something well worth our evening. And then I saw Betsy had her holiday spode out, and my grandmother started giving me holiday spode when I first got married in 1979. And now again, the tradition is going to my children. And this is a Christmas plate for 2020. So I give one of them to each of my children and a couple of my friends that collect it as well.
Well, my family's traditions have pretty much revolved around food. My mother was an excellent cook, and we had a lot of Christmas parties with massive amounts of hors d'oeuvres and baked goods. And then our Christmas meal would include a roast beef and Yorkshire pudding, and multiple side dishes. And then, of course, the Christmas trifle for dessert, which is a multi-layered custard and cream and fruit. And that's another tradition we had. And of course, Welsh cakes, which are kind of these somewhat tasteful little cookies, but they're our tradition and we love them. And we always had them at Christmas. So.
Well, when I grew up, we always went to church at midnight and did Christmas in the morning. We didn't have a big family. It was just myself, my parents, and my two brothers and my sister. Once I married and we started our own family, we created the tradition of Christmas Eve became kind of the big deal for us because we would go to church, usually at the 5:30 service, because we had the girls and they were always in the Christmas pageant. We would come home. We would always have beef stroganoff, which has now been supplanted with a different menu. But for us, when I was doing it, it was always beef stroganoff. The girls would always have their little candelabras and go off to bed. And in the morning, it was open gifts and whatnot at our house. Then we would head down to visit both sets of grandparents. Since I have 10 grandchildren, we have included in this on Christmas Eve at noon, I bake a cake in the shape of a train. I have a bunch of candy. I make a frosting that is cement, and we all gather at noon, and the kids decorate the Christmas train, which becomes their centerpiece for their table for the Christmas Eve dinner.
Well, I'm like Betsy. I'm going to go back to the old days. My birthday is on the 19th, 6 days before Christmas. And growing up, my mother made sure, very sure, that we did not celebrate no Christmas decorations, no tree until the 19th of December, which was really nice of her to do. It made it really special because that's when we put our tree up. Well, when I moved out to Washington, I found out that you just can't wait that later. You can't find a tree, or people have everything up really early because it's so dark. So that tradition has gone away. But nowadays, my children come and I will still get a live tree and they will put it up and put the lights on. And now my grandchildren are old enough to put all the decorations. So now I just sit and watch. It's pretty nice.
I think this one is funny. We belong to I grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota, and we didn't have a cathedral. The Catholics did, but we didn't in that city. But we had a very big church, and our family happened to be members of that. And so they had a great high altar, beautiful, high, all wooden carving, just miles high. But on top of that was a platform. And not too many people knew that, but I was allowed to be an angel for a couple of years. And what you had to do, and I think there was more than one of us, but anyway, you had to climb up this ladder in the dark because nobody was supposed to know we were there. And then here we are with huge wings and halos and big angel costumes, and we climb up and stand on this platform and hold this big fake horn that was made out of cardboard, gold, and, like this. And then they would turn the spotlights on us. It was probably in the angel of the Lord appeared to Mary or something, whatever the scripture was, but it was beautiful. I'm sure I never saw a picture of it. But anyway, that was scary to climb up that ladder in the dark.
I was never in one. I grew up mostly unchurched, and to the extent that I was churched, it wasn't until I was too old for Christmas pageants. But I do remember watching Emily and Audrey and Will Priest and Colin Bogar and Bryce Bogar dressed as various things, animals and wise men. And there was a year Audrey was a wise man that I have on videotape, which is just hysterically funny because she was this tiny little thing. It was great. So Emmanuel's Christmas pageants have often been a little wild and pretty fun.
I was the youngest in my family, and there was a lot of lore around the Christmas pageants that my brother was actually Jesus and my sister was Virgin Mary. But I was always an angel because I was in the Emmanuel Children's Choir, and we were always singing, and we were always dressed as angels. So that's my memory for myself. My children have been in multiple pageants, as Jeanyne mentioned, and also in preschool at the Presbyterian Church. I think they've been innkeepers and various animals and things like that.
Well, when I grew up, I was in the choir at St. John's in Olympia, so I always sang in the choir. But at Emmanuel, my girls were always in the pageant. Sometimes they were angels, but other times they were not. This is a picture of Stephanie and Jeanette. There's Jeanette. She's an angel. Hard to believe, but yes, she was. And Stephanie was Mary. And here is Jeanette as Mary. It was very special to watch my girls get to be Mary.
I don't remember myself, but my son, I remember, who can't sing a note now, but when he was little and being an angel in the Christmas pageant, I remember we could hear him over everybody else. He just sang. He was the angel that everyone said, "Did you hear that angel?" But now I can't even carry a tune. So that seemed to go away.
My tree has become a tree of all angels, and that's just solid angels. And some of them were collected by my Andrew's mother, who is now gone, but she would always send me a Hawaiian angel made out of natural materials. They were just darling. And I don't have those, they didn't last as well as some of the plastic ones, of course. But, well, this is one that's a favorite. And I think I already showed another one. This lovely lady is flying. But that's my tradition. And I seem to have angels all over the house and also in my life. I have a philosophy about angels, how they come to you, or you find yourself doing something that another person considers you sent by God. So.
I didn't get my ornaments out, and we don't have a tree up yet because though I have sometimes pushed for a fake tree, we don't have one and won't put one up this early. But we just have a lot of ornaments. And when we were first married, Mark and I adopted his parents' tradition of buying one ornament together a year, only Mark really loves ornaments. And so after a while, he was buying 5 or 6 a year, and we now have so many ornaments that it is not possible to fit them all on the tree, though he tries. Yeah, it can be pretty well decorated.
This is one of my favorite ornaments. I'm kind of going a little out of order, but again, to Betsy's analogy about the angels, my mother was always, she's still alive, has always been a believer in angels and started giving me angel ornaments when I was little. And now my daughter and I collect them. And this is one from Germany that we collected.
Our tradition is to have a new ornament every year in our stockings. So like others, we have a lot of ornaments, but our tree is just a plethora of memories and different points in our life. So there's really not one favorite one. I do love this. It's not an ornament, but it's this little spinning, people playing instruments, and you light these candles and it spins, and it just feeds my soul as a scientist and as someone who loves Christmas. So that's my favorite thing that I have in my house.
Well, we have a hodgepodge of ornaments. They're things that we've collected from our travels, things about our past, the girls, what they did, from dancing to piano playing. Jeanette had a little, what do you call it, Giorgio bag. She loved that perfume at one point. But other than that, I pretty much one of our traditions also going back to that is Jeanette and I always take Haley and we go to the Nutcracker. So I decorate with a lot of nutcrackers. I have them on the tree. I have them all over the house. This is Clara from the Nutcracker. And I have a whole bunch. Since we've moved, I've gotten rid of a lot of them, but I still have kept a lot of my nutcrackers. So if you walk into my house, I have a nutcracker theme.
I did not get out a favorite ornament. Again, I haven't gotten into all my things yet, but again, just having the children come and decorate. I have a special box and I tell them these are the ornaments that have to be on the front of the tree. So they have special directions so anyway, that's what we do for Christmas.
Well, I thought about that and I thought about a message, and in line with my angel theme, I have this quote that I've done in calligraphy, but you probably can't see it, but it says, "Friends are quiet angels who lift us to our feet when our wings have trouble remembering how to fly." And and I hope that would help anybody that's having trouble celebrating Christmas this year, that if you have friends, you have angels in your life.
Well, I'd just like to say Merry Christmas to everybody, and I'm sorry that we can't be physically together, but hang in there. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and stay well and have a great new year.
I've covered everything. My message to Emmanuel is to believe and to take care and be kind and enjoy what we have.
I just say Merry Christmas to everyone. And I wish you all the best in this beautiful season.
Thank you, Leslie, for a few words of encouragement.
I think I would just say Merry Christmas to everybody and hope that 2021 is a wonderful year for all.
I think that just encouraging everybody to stay healthy and be together and enjoy our Christmas as best we can. We are so blessed to have this Zoom to see each other and to enjoy, and Merry Christmas to all.